that they had...
Sorry, what were former MPs saying to
Exactly. Well, as you said, there were 120 there, but they also had people like Charles Walker who stood down, who wanted to reassure people that they were going to be looked after. Mark Priscon giving coaching advice for those who are going to look for employment outside of politics. So there was another reason for us meeting there, other than Rishi having the opportunity to look us in the eye and say, I'm sorry, which is what he did. He did it several times.
And do you accept his apology?
Well, we are where we are. I mean,
do you
the one
accept
thing...
his apology?
Yes, I do, but the
but you
one
don't think
thing...
you should have called the election when he did?
No, of course I don't. In fact, I told him, he phoned me on the Saturday following the election result, and I said, well, I'm going to say right out front, the election should have been November. It would have given another few months of a growing economy, people... and give him the opportunity to show himself as Prime Minister for another 6 months. You would have had the NATO summit, you would have had this Blenheim conference that's coming up this weekend. So there's lots of...
being busy in the United States.
Well, you know, that was an important consideration. He was going to swan off to cover the elections with his mate Trump.
But are those MPs sorry for the last 3 or 4 years for Liz Truss and all that? The way they got behind some of the most reactionary right-wing politics.
Mick, I spoke with some of them, and some said, listen, we didn't help ourselves. No. Right? I knew on the doorstep when I was knocking on doorsteps, talking to people, they said, hold on, you said you were going to stop the boats. You haven't done that. You haven't sent anybody to Rwanda.
This was a punishment election, wasn't it? It wasn't just about Labour winning. They were the electorate were out to punish Tory MPs.
If you look at the turnout, it was down 5% in my patch. If you look at the Labour share of the vote, it was 34%. Yeah. That's one of the lowest that any winning party has ever had.
If they hadn't been so certain of winning, Labour would have got more. People wanted to punish individual Tory MPs.
But you're absolutely right. That's why 70-odd Lib Dems won, because they worked out who was more likely to be the Tory, and they didn't care whether it was Labour or Lib Dem. They went with them, and that's why we suffered a colossal defeat. And I mean, people were bewildered as to why we went in July when they thought that November would have been a much better date, and you know, and some people...
But the date wouldn't have saved you. It might have saved some of them, but it wouldn't have saved the Tory government.
I think you're absolutely right, but I think my own view is that at least 100 people wouldn't have been in that room tonight, or 100 people of the 259 wouldn't have lost their seats. I do think that, you know, when you argue for change, it was a powerful argument, and in the end, this is what we got today.
Nick, after the 40 new bills were read out by the King today, what is the mood in the Labour Party?
Well, this was the first time in around about